Hello and welcome to episode 29 of Let's Talk Tactics. I'm your host, Zach Burrell.
Benabun?
And Unlock.
And this week we're going to just chill and talk about CM7, the rest of it. There was a lot of stuff that happened, a lot of interesting developments, both in the rankings sort of discussion, as well as the meta, and if there is a meta, variety of teams, blah, blah, blah. So let's just hop right in. Real quick, I think we'll just recap with releases for the week, and then we'll just hop into the main topic of CM7. So Tetra Sylphid got her 3-star Awakening, giving her wind attack nodes, increasing her evasion to 25, which is pretty insane. I do like this switch where it goes to wind attack. Instead of feeling like you need to put her on like a missile unit, you can now put it on like Oldua or something. If you want to do like an evade Oldua build, or I almost said or NieR. To be, it's at least an option there as well. So, you guys planning on maxing or bringing this to 9-9 or?
I already
Kind
did.
of. Oh, you already did? Nice.
I do that too.
I haven't even touched it yet. So are there any nodes beyond those two you guys like would recommend,
Accuracy.
or accuracy?
She also gets an additional accuracy, and I mean, I like accuracy, so I always go for that. So
I did. And
Yeah, I
it's
think I
right.
did a little build planner thing, and I think once you do the wind attack, evasion, and accuracy, it really only leaves you like 40 or 50 points. So you can go like Earth Killer and Wind Resist or something. Like it's just pick whatever I guess works out. But
It's
anything like, oh, sorry.
no, it's cool. I just it's cool. I mean, she's always sorry, she. Yeah, so Tetra has always had like the Earth Killer, but I think it's cool that she's kind of like the Eminence, like Wind Esper, especially now that she has Wind Attack. Because of Wind's Earth Killer and like the whole evasion slash accuracy thing.
Right.
It really just kind of puts her together as an Esper.
I like how a lot of the 3-star awakenings are doing that, where like Ifrit got a lot of fire attack. We already have Leviathan for water attack. I think Ramu in the future gets lightning attack, so we kind of have these on element attack bonuses to kind of just like double down on all of his advantages.
and
Be
correct me
interesting in
if
the
I'm
future. Oh, sorry.
sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I
I
was gonna
thought
say
you
it'd
would
just
ask.
be interesting in the future to see if there's like hybrid ones that like bridge to like give you different, like the counter ones. So like an
Yeah.
ice unit can wear fire, or I guess a wind one. I don't know whatever it would be to balance all that out. A water one. There we go. Resist fire. That gives either ice attack or something like that.
I was gonna say that correct me if I'm wrong because I don't have the calc in front of me, but I think Tetra has the same amount of magic and attack, meaning that you can also put it on like Halloween Leela, and you can feel okay with having her wield it because it has wind attack, it has evasion, and it has the same amount of magic as attack.
And 17
So
agility is
you
pretty
can,
good.
yeah, she has very high agility. So don't feel bad putting it on a magic unit.
She
Also,
gets disable
that's what I was
resistance.
about to say.
Yes,
Yep.
That's like one of the
nice.
most important things in recent months.
Yeah, disable is great. So
25%.
yeah, I mean, I think it's a sweet Esper. I definitely wouldn't fault anybody for getting it, and I think that also I don't know how much we need to start talking about these, but the actual like evocation ability, we are seeing those more often now. Plus, we have the Scholar coming up in the future, and she may also facilitate a build in which you have like the Unistaff on some staff unit. You have an Esper you feel like summoning, you buff with the Scholar, and then like 2 or 3 turns later, maybe you can drop Tetra or something. Not that I can think of. I guess Gargus or Barbarous, whatever his name is, just
Targets,
came out
yeah.
in JP as a UR Wind Black Mage, so I guess he would be a Wind unit that can hold a staff. But well, I guess you do it with Helena too, but I don't know how much the damage would be there. I don't really know how the Esper damage is calculated, but if it's based on stats or just the evocation level. But anyway, it'd be interesting to see. This gives evasion for everybody, as well as wind resist down to enemies. So that's pretty sweet. Among the Espers, it's one of the ones that actually has an effect beyond the wind resist. That's not like a status chance. So that's kind of cool. Seymour also came out with his EX. I'm super excited about it. I do have him, like, he's in his EX, but I don't have him maxed or anything. I need a lot of shards. It's really bad.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to cave and get all those MR select tickets in the shop right now, but
No,
the
don't
price
do
is
it.
so like, oh, it's just not amazing, and I really want to play with him.
Yeah. I can see, like, you were really one of the like original Seymour users. I remember back when we used to do MR fights all the time. Like Seymour was such a like you know how I would always pick the straw. You would
Yep.
always pick Seymour. So yeah, it's kind of a tragedy, honestly, in my mind, how like you haven't been able to max them when other people are like, "Look, I have 400 of his shards already."
I had 77. I was like, oh, and that was after like 2 days of doing his hard quest. I'm like, God dang it.
Like, sorry, man, I'm busy maxing all these elites UR unit.
Yeah, right. I mean, they don't, yeah, they all use the same whatever we're calling them, corn, wheat stalks, whatever. the hell.
Blossom. I
Blossoms.
don't know.
Yeah.
It's not hard to say blossom. The blossoms of paradise.
So it's blossoms, wheat, corn. It's literally half. It's so much more
That's
efficient.
true. Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah, just like wall
Less
instead of
syllables.
warrior light.
But back to Seymour. So his Blade Soul gets a buff. He no longer has defense now, which is cool, and he gets a AP consumption. It's like decrease AP consumption 20, which is I believe 20%, if I recall how those work. And he also gets an Obrozuki enhancement. It gets an additional range and has a chance to disable. So that's pretty cool. And then his last ability, the Dream Calling Blade, has a chance of putting people to sleep from 4 spaces away. It's 3 plus an AoE of 1 in all directions. So, all what is it, orthogonal directions. I assume you guys aren't going in on him at all, trying to build him at all, or
I mean, I
someone
would.
else joining me.
I would like my account has become like this fire like focused account, like like having all the fire units. So like, yeah, he's definitely interesting for me. And like, oh my god, you guys, have you seen? He gets to like 1400 plus attack with
With this
like
card,
the
yeah.
right with the right setup. And I'm just like, holy crap! Like as long as he doesn't get guaranteed like hit, I haven't seen how bulky he can be. Like, does he get one shot with like any guaranteed hits or?
So it looks like he has 1400 HP from his jobs, another 900, almost 1000 from his regular stats, and his board. So let's see, 13,
Like
15,
4K ish.
14, 16, 27, 28. So he's like 28 before any gear. So I guess if you had, are there any units that in fire that give the fire party bonus?
Yeah, Raldor,
Oh,
Christmas
Raldor, yeah.
Mastery.
Oh, I forgot. Sorry, she's one of
Like
the ones I don't have, so I always forget she exists now.
yeah, like Ifrit's gonna give him like a flat like 1200 anyway, so that's like 4K right there. So he might even reach like 5K honestly with like
I want to say I saw him
I
at
don't know
5K with like
flat robe.
1400 attack, and it was like, whoa.
Crazy. I mean, as long as he doesn't get hit by an ice unit. So like really, Rosa's just sitting in the back like,
You
hey,
mean
what's up?
water?
Water units,
Where you
right?
going? Oh yeah, yeah. Sorry, water.
Which is
Thinking
even worse.
Rosa.
Like it's what Tidus and like
Yeah,
Zazan's gonna come out of nowhere and slap his face.
yeah.
Or Winter Victoria.
Oh man, yeah, the water team. he's he's going to be very matchup dependent for sure. I think he's not just a jam him in every team and you'll find like use out of him. Like you're going to be, it's a little bit of a liability to be bringing him into a battle, but 100% I'm going to test with him. I'm going to see if you can, how much of punishment he can take. And then I mean his vision card is very good. Like it's basically it's a UR plus on him. Honestly, it's just got so many stats on it. It's even better for Sir O, but I kind of do wish the party ability on it was like fire and lightning or something. Like you're gonna support one but not the other. But I guess I have on other VCs as well.
You guys
Yeah.
ready?
What's that?
Ready for me to blow your minds for a sec?
Sure.
Just wait until we see that MR and lower limited guild battle. Like
Oh
it's gonna
yeah,
be
I can't
insane.
wait. I think didn't someone say that either
When
Gumi or on the question, like one of the streams, they answered the question and saying like they're waiting for more accounts to get MR units built or something.
That sounds familiar, vaguely.
so is there like an expected date when that might happen?
No idea.
No,
So has it happened in JP
I've
or
just been like keeping
no?
an eye on it.
I mean, we
Okay.
didn't even get like a couple of the limited guild battles JP did. I don't think like one of them was like a
Okay.
gender based one, which of course we're not going to get. And then I think there was another one after that. Like so we got what was the one that we got? Was it cost based like 540? Some like
Yep.
just put
Yeah.
Leo's castle on your unit and go. The I don't know if they had another one after that actually. I'd have to go back and look at like Cabbage's post or something. I think he's like the only JP person I can think of. I've watched videos, but anyway, yeah. So Seymour's card, he gets the 20 defense pen as well as the 50% attack. So that's why his value gets so high. Gets a 20 slash for the party, which is good for a lot of other units who could be on the team, and that's not element restricted. And you get the magic resistance up a little bit, which is nice for some of the units out there. So yeah, I'm gonna play around with it. I'm pretty excited, but it definitely not like some game breaking like go and max him. It's just like if you like him, get him. But moving on to class match 7, how'd you guys end up?
You stole my spot, man.
Oh, did I really?
You kicked me out of top 10.
Wait, I kicked you out of top 10? Oh
Yeah, I
shit.
finished at 11. No, it's good.
Yeah, I finished 7th. Yeah,
Yeah.
7th. So.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Listen, man, I've never been top
Crazy.
10, so
I never noticed that.
I didn't realize that either.
Oh, you're tied for
Jeez.
7.
I think I remember seeing you up there. I was like, "Oh, sick, lock, good job!" Blah, blah. I just kept scrolling. I didn't look at the number. I was just, "Oh, you."
It was the last day that I just had like really bad luck. I faced like 2 cheese blade teams, and the very last match I faced was a cheese blade team that like ended me in 45 seconds, and that cost me the 20 points that I didn't get into
Oh
rank 10. So
no.
Yeah, on the last day, I lost my 4th match, and had I won that, I would have been 3rd place. So that was a bit of a kick in the nuts. But actually, I think Gimmick Puppet had more points in 3rd than I would have had. So I think I would have been 4th. But it still,
Mhm.
sounds a lot better than 7, I guess.
Did you how many like disconnects did you guys get hit with?
0.
I didn't get any. Yeah.
Wow, nice. We've been kind of monitoring that whole situation on the PvP Discord, and hearing a lot more stories this class match about how people have been getting disconnected. So who knows if that has to do with the recent like like the client update or whatever. But for me, I only lost like 2 games. I got disconnected 3 times. So that's why I
Damn,
ended up
dude.
at like rank 27 and I could have been like top 10 again.
Damn,
Mm.
sorry.
That sucks.
One of my disconnects was because I dropped my phone while I was streaming. It was like, so I have like a magnet here that I just like attach to my like tower or whatever. But like for whatever reason, like so I was using Samsung Dex. So
Oh,
it's like
yeah,
my
yeah.
phone is plugged into the computer. Really just need to get a capture card when streaming. But like for whatever reason, I think I went to go grab it and then just like knocked it off and it was like do 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 and like just disconnected. And I was
Oh, at least it made a
like
fun sound, right?
seriously?
Doot, doot.
Yeah.
Oh man, wait. Actually, what's on the back of your phone?
Oh, this is just I don't know. It's the case I
So,
got when I was in the
so when
Navy.
you flashed it, I thought that was broken glass on the back. I'm like, no, what? I'm like, how many
Oh,
fucking times have you dropped it? it's like this
It was
really white, like electricity going through. But I'm like, oh, that looks like a really busted screen, dude. Like, man, I thought, yeah,
used to have a
so you
Zelda
got some
case, but
frustration going on there.
switch it up. Yeah, right.
um. So all right, nice. So we were
But
all
yeah,
top 50.
rank
That's pretty sweet. Oh,
27.
even top 30. So that's pretty sweet. Nice, nice. So did you guys use the same team? So I know Danny, you kind of went through sort of an evolution. You want to take us through that?
Not really, but I will.
All
So like, so I'm sure
right,
the
I'm just gonna
people on
preface
the
this. Listen, it exists, and
yeah
it like you can't fault people for using it in the ranked mode, even if we don't agree with it, if we think it's too strong, whatever. Like it's on other people to build against it if they don't want to lose to it. And if they lose to other matchups because of that,
yeah
that's just what happens. Like we have to faulting you for it's not gonna help, I guess. But anyway,
yeah for anyone listening, like we're talking about the cheese blade combo, courtesy of Jay Benson for tagging the the combo, the cheese blade combo. Um, so the first day like I passed out early and I woke up with half an hour left. It was like 2:30 in the morning, half an hour left in the last window, so I was like,
it's time.
oh man. So I just threw together a team that I thought would be successful, and it just so happened to be double quicken gunners. It was like Frederica Nivlu and I don't know, was it Chell or something, I don't even know, but I went 5-0, so that was cool. um but actually, did I get disconnected the first day? I don't know. I can't even remember anymore. But so the second day, I was like, um, actually, I think I was talking about this last week, but I was just really struggling with like a team to pick, and I think that obviously that was part of this meta is like people trying to figure out what they wanted to work with. So I was like, screw it, I'm gonna use Cheeseblade for science. I'm gonna hunt down other Cheeseblade users because apparently we're seeing so many of them. I didn't really run into really any over the course of the entire week, maybe just like a few.
Me neither.
So that was kind of kind of annoying because so for me, like I'm a really big like proponent for like not using cheese blade. Like it's like, as you guys are all familiar and kind of feel similarly, I think like it's alienating um people and like from doing PvP more often, live PvP.
Well, manually, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
like
yeah,
I'm like
yeah,
people have been saying like, "Hey guys, I've been playing on auto." It's almost
yeah,
like
exactly.
they're everyone's like ashamed to say like I'm playing on auto, which I appreciate because it means they still have that love for manual, but they just can't justify playing it.
Yeah.
They're just gonna
Mhm.
lose to the combo.
So yeah, so the first day I was like, I'm gonna hunt down these Cheeseblade users with my anti-Cheeseblade combo team, but didn't find any. I used it. I used it again the third day, like the second day in a row, and I was just like, I need to figure out. I need to take the time, figure out what kind of team I want to use because that was like you said. You mentioned like, yeah, if it's available, you can use it to win. That was my rationale for using it the third day, but I was just like, I am a terrible player. I'm a hypocrite. Anyways, over the course of those like 3 days, that was I think I got like one loss, and I think that was like one or two of my DCs, but did pretty well overall. But finally decided on Saturday to go with double quick and Ziza, and never looked back because she is amazing. She's one-shotting so many units in the meta right now, and if she's not one-shotting, then she's charming other units, and it's just like such a huge like powerhouse that it feels so good to be like a day one Ziza player and finally see her become like the true monk that she was supposed to be. So yeah, really happy.
What
Ended up
TMR did you use on her?
uh, it's on TMR.
Okay, that's what I figured.
Yeah, and so with her using that, whether she's in a Cheeseblade team or not, like the only I think we mathed it out. Depending on like where your starting position was, like the only place that you can really hide from her is like in the far corners of the opposite side. So it was just really fun having this like really mobile, really high attack, charm threat, like the all of her tools available that have been available this entire past year and more. We're still there, and it's just like I'm just so happy to have used her. So really cool to have done as well as I did this match from that point forward.
And then I'll go real quick just because mine's pretty short and simple. I use the same team the whole time. So on day one, I was waffling on what I wanted to play. I initially started off, I'm like, I'm just going to default to double quick and gunner if I can't figure anything else out because it's just comfortable and I'll figure it out. Like you did a couple days in where you're like, all right, now this is my jam. And I looked at Oran, I'm like, man, I wish I could use him. And then it was Jay Benson, like, also in chat. He's like, something about like double quicking him. I'm like, okay. So I had like Gilgamesh, Oran, and I was like, Baby Shell, maybe some other MR unit or something. And yeah, tuned it out. I did the so matching agility quickeners with lower agility target. So there was a turn one double quicken. Obviously turn one, like they get a turn in between typically. It's usually one or two units got to move before On actually did all of his turns. But you know, the opponents don't like to split up apparently. They're just like, I'm just gonna buff. I see the double charging and him running at me with Katone TMR, but nah,
That
I'm
was
just gonna
uh,
buff.
that was
Like,
like the one weakness I think I saw with your team was like that initial like having to weather like two maybe three turns depending on the agility of your opponents before like the quickens like resolved, and like I know there was a couple times you're like, oh man, my Ornn is dead, like he's gonna take like two or three hits or whatever,
yeah.
but you managed to stick with it. That was really cool.
Yeah, I think I should have gone maybe lower on the agility and like tried to go second just to go across but I wanted to minimize how many they got to move. There were some teams that like had no agility card, no like high, they just had like good value damage stuff, I guess. No real, I mean, I'm assuming they had Odin, but I was still somehow faster with my Auron. I only had the Chocobo MR card. I didn't have like the Helena card or Beowulf or was it House B? Yeah. So I wasn't always the fastest, but yeah, it was best when there were two units that went before Oron took his first quicken turn, because the first turn he's very safe. He gets to run up onto the top, like the height 4, 3 above the ground, basically, crystal, and then he kind of gets like outpost there, waiting for people to move around. Then he goes down for 2 turns and kills whoever's like out of position. And if people moved up and he got the shifting strike, it was a great day. That happened too many times where people gave me like the way to teleport in. I'm like, I don't even care if I kill you. You're giving me a better position. Or like I know at Titus, one time walked up and I got to like barrier break him through the wall and then tornado all 3 and kill them all. So that was pretty sweet. But partial way through, I lost to. So I had 3 losses overall. One on day 2, one on day like 6 or 7, and then one on the last day. I lost to Mission. Is that how you say it? Mission.
Yeah,
I don't. Yeah.
Mission.
So he was using the exact same team as me, except he had different vision cards. So he had like full damage. So I was faster. I got my quickens first, but I couldn't one shot his Gilgamesh. I left him with like 100 HP. It was so close, and he had Igaion, the Ice Bird, and I don't even remember what the third card was, but it
Fenrir,
was
right?
yeah, okay, yeah, it was Fenrir. So he just had all this damage, and he actually one shot my Gilgamesh. So our Orons just were like ships crossing in the night. We just like
Clash of the
ignored
Titans.
each other. We're just like, I looked at the damage, like, nah, go and try to kill his Gilgamesh. Like the crit, it was like within crit range of killing, and I did crit, but it didn't kill. It was so sad. So after that, I looked at my team, and I never used triple trick because I started off with exorcists. So I did a damage test, and Igaion was just miles more damage. It was very,
It's
very sad.
hundreds.
It was so bad that I didn't have that on the whole time. There were so many matches where I left units on like 100 health, and like I would kill them on the second quicken, and then it left someone else alive who ran away or something. Where those would have just been clean sweeps. So I really, really am regretting not using that from the beginning. Because after that, yeah, the damage numbers just shot up. Like my tornadoes are regularly doing over 6,000 on almost any unit. And the reason I tested the Icebird too, tornadoes not elemental. So if I use the Icebird, I get absolutely no benefit from it on his LB. So that's the main reason I went with Igaion instead. Also, I think Igaion, when I tested just like one of his like normal lower attacks, it was only like 100. It was like 100 less damage on the Icebird, which is interesting. I think it was just maybe the flat attack or something, but
Mhm.
like being so different.
I have
But
another like quick final note to mention about
and
your
the
team.
accuracy is nice, but
Like about why it was such a huge threat and why people couldn't really deal with it. Like I think your team specifically, I don't know about anyone else that was using double quick and Orn, but your team specifically, it was agi tuned so that it wasn't just that Orn got a triple turn, but Gilgamesh got a double turn right afterwards.
on the
And
second
so
turn,
like
yep.
so he would run up after Dragoon's Pride,
Mhm.
getting that haste and move up. And it was just so hard to like whatever Orin couldn't deal with, Gilgamesh generally could.
Yep.
At least with like a Kotetsu, if not like an Excalibur Vorpal, you know. So yeah, like the way that your Chell was tuned to the rest of your team, it was just really impressive to see.
That's
Did you
true,
use
actually, yeah.
did you use Nevlu or Shell as the second quickener?
Shell.
Shell, okay.
It'd be too many points, I think. I think I would have had to drop the agility card down to something like a Leona's Castle or something
Okay.
less if I use Nivlu because the point differential.
Mhm.
So I want to stick with Shell. Like at first it was just because, all ice, it looks cool and like I wanna do it. And also I like the faster quickens of Shell. I don't have as much experience making teams with same cast speed, different agilities. I'm
Okay.
not comfortable building that yet.
Mhm.
I haven't really put time into it. I could probably learn it, but I just haven't. So I went with I wanted to stagger my cast times, but I don't like having like a regular, quote unquote, regular unit like Nivlu or
Mhm.
Gilgamesh that doesn't have a master ability like Shell does and no speed cast. So it's just like a flat, like what is it, 4 tick quick, and it's too slow.
Yeah, it's very slow. Yeah.
Because sometimes Shell just I get to like walk up with Shell, do nothing on unit moves, Shell laps people and then instant quickens, and it like that's just so insane like to have out of nowhere because there's no counterplay to it.
I was really interested to pit my team against yours because Orin he's vulnerable to charm. He doesn't have the resistance to it. So I think with my Ziza probably going faster than your Orin, I think I could have shut your combo down by
It
like
would depend
charming
on the
him and then he gets
range.
quickened. Yeah, because like we both go for the 4 height crystal and it's three range like across, you know. So I think I would have been interested to see like our head to head, you know.
It depends how fast my anti charm skill casts. because
Well,
I
no.
wouldn't do that
So
turn 1.
yeah, so protective ward is instant cast, but it's range 2, and it means he wouldn't be quickening. So
Right.
it
Yeah,
would leave
I
him
would have to do
vulnerable
that in the
to like
matchup.
a double quicken.
Yeah, I would have to do that in the matchup just so that you can't charm my 2 carries.
Yeah,
Like if you charm
exactly.
Shell, deal. Figure it out. Although I think I won 3 or 4 games with a Shell Imperil, so that was satisfying also.
I had my Shell wear 3 shoes, so I never used an attack skill.
So she had Lucia
That's
boots and double Hermes.
Yeah.
fashion design shell over here.
Yeah, I think mine was the platinum rod with Hermes and Lucia shoes, which actually I
She got, like,
didn't
different.
use. I used bells, but I never used bells. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry, I didn't have bells because I had the Kane TMR on Greg. I had Lucia TMR on Shell, and then
Purify,
I had Katone TMR on Oran. So I actually didn't have bells on team at all, which that's why I love these class match maps. Is you get these crystals, and I wish we could have them in free match or something, because then you can actually have some build variety in your TMR slot. But whatever.
And not have to use keys.
They're more welcoming to free players. If
like,
like newer players don't have bells, then go for crystals.
Right. So as I say, it was gonna be a quick recap. I used Oran. I killed a lot of people with Tornado. I probably used Tornado out of 40 matches 32 33 times. Like it was just what I did almost every match. There were a couple I had to adjust, which it was kind of fun too. Like on stream, there were some days where I was done in like 20 minutes, and I was like, sorry guys, like this is how it goes sometimes. But then there'd be the matches where it's like, oh, I actually just can't walk up because I'm gonna die, so I need to like adjust. I'm like, all right, now this is really interesting. I get to use my brain a little more, and that was fun. And I was hoping that people were enjoying that. And I guess one more note real quick, there was a match though I should have lost on the last, or no, I think I ended up losing anyway, but I should have lost like on turn 1 because I moved Oran up just like out of habit, and I didn't notice that all 3 of his units had a turn in a row, and he could have gone Nivlu, Frederica, 9S, which was obvious. I can't live a chain like that with Oran with no defensives up. So I ended up losing that match. It was Frederica and Shell at the end, and my Shell was staying next to Frederica, so I was like trying to limit her range, but it wasn't enough. And she reflexed my Imperil that would have killed her or set up the kill.
She got 2 reflexes that saved her.
She reflexed Oran once, yep, earlier in the match, or Gilgamesh actually, the Kotetsu, and then she reflexed the second of 3 Imperils to not die to a third one.
I'm trying to remember like player's name to shout them out, but I can't think of it right now.
Was it No, it wasn't Duma. Oh, it was Arden or Arvin or what's that? Arwin?
Yeah, I can't think of it.
Is it Arwin?
Slot 3 players.
I
was like, I have no idea who these guys are.
You filthy slot 3s. No, it's Arwin or I thought it was Arden, like the character from Final Fantasy 15, but spelled differently.
Might be Arden.
Anyway,
Maybe.
That player, shout out to him. I played him a couple times, and he got me that time. So at least I believe it was him. Shout out anyway. I played him a couple times. All right, now I'll shut up. Locke, let's talk about your experiences in class match.
So I decided to use Double Quick and Garval, and because he was a level 99 unit, already going in, I knew that he would not be able to one-shot many of these level 120 units, and they can in turn one-shot him. And this is like my experience when I started playing the game with Frederica, where she can't one-shot anyone, and almost everyone could one-shot her. So what do I do, right? So now it's like at the time I could just hit somebody with Frederica and run away, and they can't catch up because nobody was using Quicken in those days. But nowadays, that's not the experience. Like everyone can easily cross the entire map with like Quickens and Ketones TMR and so on and so on. So what I ended up doing whenever I faced a player that used a level 120 unit, which is like maybe like at least 50% of the matches, if not more, I would actually use Garvel to take out the Quickeners and sacrifice them. So I would double quicken Garvel because I had to get him in range, and then usually like if I got a triple turn, I can move up and then attack his quickener and then use a third turn to run away. But most of the time, because I had everyone like tuned up, the agility was like to the max that I could go. Because again, like 3 shoes on Hermes, 3 shoes on Shell. Most of the time, after the first quicken goes off, the enemy gets a turn, and usually it's like Sakura one shots Garvel, or Yuna one shots Garvel, or like anybody, even Aran one shots Garvel.
Even Oran, excuse me, sir.
Yeah, because Everybody does. Like every single
Even.
120 does. And then I would actually just use Nivlu with like garbage VCs to take out the whole team. Because so my VCs were Diablos, Trousseau, and Agility. So Agility, okay, everyone benefits, but only Garval benefits really from the other two VCs. Nivlu doesn't have like Frederica's Dream or anything, but she's able to actually just like use Dispel Spread to remove Kitone's TMR, use the -1 move speed thing to drop their speed down, to drop their movement down to 2, and she would just win. Like there was one match I was playing where the opponent had, I think, Yuna, Sakura, and Warrior of Light. He didn't even have a quicken. So I looked at it. After my first quicken, I'm like, okay, I can't like one shot anybody, and except for Sakura. But like the way that where I was positioned, I wasn't able to get to Sakura, so I just hit Warrior of Light for like 1k damage with Jamming Thrust, and then moved him back. And my opponent decided to move Sakura up, and I didn't. And after Quicken went off, I didn't have to kill Sakura. I could have just retreated. But I'm like, you know what? I know I got this match with Niblu anyway, so I moved up and Jamming Thrusted his Sakura, knowing that Yuna's gonna kill me next turn. However, Sakura magic reflexed, right? So he didn't even get to do anything. Like he just sacrificed himself for nothing. And Nivlu cannot one shot or two shot even Sakura. She had to 3-shot Sakura, and I still won because like none of them could catch up to me. Like because it was just impossible with
Well,
the
also
with the
Nibble has jumped
ledges.
too,
Yeah, Niblu has
so
jumped
it's
too.
insane. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just insane. Well, both Sakura and Yuna could cast nimble movement, but then that takes an additional turn, right? And yeah, so
It's for movement anyways.
exactly. No, I don't know if nimble movement can be removed because that's a
It
status
does.
effect. You
No,
can?
move and jump are stats. Yeah.
Oh,
Katone's
okay,
TMR.
so you can remove it. Okay,
Yep.
yeah. So yeah, it was, and there was another match where it was down to like an El Cirel, and like I made a misplay at the very beginning, and I lost my Garval and could not kill his Ramza. So his Ramza came and killed me, and then he used El Cirel with Kitone's TMR to kill my shell, and it was just down to Nivlu. And El Cirel starts using these like missile resist buffs, and I would hit her for like 300 damage, no joke, like 300, sometimes 500 damage, and like I slowly killed her, and then the quickener before she
If
got
you if
she could
you say
like
you win that match, that's gonna blow my mind. Like, did you win
yeah, I won that.
after all that? That's insane, man. That's really cool to hear. Like you using like one of your favorite units, so well in this match, this class match.
S- Yeah, so it's and the reason that I did this actually was because the last class match, if you remember, I was like, I'm going to go into this class match saying I want to use Titus no matter what. Like even if I keep losing, I want to figure out a way to lose him. Sorry, to use him. And I ended up like from playing it, I'm like the only way I could get in range is to use Quicken. There's something else I could do. If I use Quitone's TMR, I'm not using Sentinel. And eventually, like I just die. Like I can't get across to my enemies. And on top of that, he only has height 1 skills. And Aron is the same thing too, because whenever I was against a Aron, I like Jamming Thrust does less than 33% damage to him if he has like Fenrir. So I need 3 hits to kill him. So I ignore him and I kill the Phoebe, and then like they kill my carry, and they're like, okay, they probably won because they killed my carry, and then Nivlu just like rains arrows on them and kills them. So so I learned that from the last CM that with Nivlu, if you don't have a quickener, it's really hard to catch up to her. So as much as people hate Quicken and they're like, oh yeah, it's overpowered if you like if you stack it like this and you can run across the whole map. Okay, I agree, and maybe it does need a nerf, but I think if you remove it, I think you make a lot of units not viable, especially like Titus or Aron who have move 3, jump 1 skills and don't have high range. Okay, maybe he has like taunting blade, Titus does, but I think it makes it a lot harder. That was my experience playing it, and that's also the experience that I have like fighting against it with Nivlu and removing their quickeners. So
Right.
that's why I did that, just to see. And there was only one match where somebody was able to catch up to me, and he had a quickener because I couldn't kill both the Phoebe and the Gilgamesh, so I could only kill Phoebe, and then eventually using Gilgamesh and Agrias, he kept moving 4 squares at a time to finally retreat. So
Now, it is somewhat a sin of the map, though, right? Like the
mhm.
map is built in a way that you have to either go around it or you have to go over it of a height 2 at least.
Mhm.
So, and even if you get onto the height too, sometimes the to get down it's like a height 3 or something. So you have to really navigate through that middle, which yeah, again, if you only have like 3 movement, even if you can go over the wall, that's tight. Like that's really hard to do.
Mhm.
And if you have to go around the outside, like yeah, you're just gonna get kited. So I think if there was just like flat ground, obviously like a 1 here, 2 there, whatever, something that people could actually walk straight through, it might be less of a like necessary quicken. Would you say, or would you do you think it would still be? I mean, I think it would still be a factor. Like quicken helps stop really long
Mhm.
range turtley stuff, but I think that specifically this map is so brutal for units without at least jump 2 that it was exacerbated, I think.
I agree, but also, I mean, in the last map, if I started in the middle and my opponent started in the middle too, there's some movement, but once you get onto the ledge, it's just like move 1 spaces, right? But still, I just had a lot of trouble. Like I think I built my team in the beginning with like missile resist. Like I was using golems bracers, not was it golem defense bracer, and I was using El Sorel to give the plus 25 missile resist. So he had like I think 75 missile resist, and he wasn't going to die to turn 1. But like what else? So I think he would use like shield, and he would move up, and then my opponents took that time to like kill my like the rest of the team, and then they just kept moving back. And at some point, he finally reached them, but because of the height 1 and height 2 skills, he couldn't actually land a hit
Right.
on them. So that was my experience with him in that map, and even that like that didn't have all these heights. It had a little bit at the like there was a platform at the bottom where it was like height 2, which you can hide on and shoot things, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. That was my experience. I think it was only like CM2 where, or maybe CM1. I don't know. Like there are some CMs where like height isn't as much of a factor, but I think later, like especially like the Snowy Fields map and then the last CM map and then the one we just had, they're all like height was quite a big contributor to how well you did. I think
Hmm.
so.
Yeah, maps where Shikuchi was actually super relevant to,
Mhm.
like, you would have to give up something you might normally use for Shikuchi just to make sure you could either navigate or not get stuck. Like that's even the biggest thing is like it's one thing to get in range to hit somebody, it's another to not be able to run away without going like sideways. Like if you just want to go straight back. So
Yeah,
definitely been a factor the most recent CMs.
it's interesting to note, like, the first 3 CMs, like the first 2 maps, they had height variations, but like you could just go around them, you know. That's
Yeah.
probably what most people did, and people use like Katone's DMR and these other abilities that increase move and jump to be able to gain the advantage. So like height variations have always been like like a big deal, depending on like how you use them, you know. But yeah, it is interesting to note like the different class match maps, like whether you're forced to deal with them or not, you know.
But yeah, like
Mhm.
the CM2 and 3 map, yeah, there's height differences, but they're off to the side where nobody goes. Everyone just runs their Agrius down the middle, and then it's like who wins after they clash. It's like 2 armies like just running at each other, just smashing
Mhm.
into each other in the middle. Like that's what that CM felt like with Agriuses and kill phase and stuff. But if you ever got down there, yeah, it was super interesting. And the teams that would go around, I feel like a lot of people like rolled their eyes, like, oh, here we go. I have to think about heights instead of just going down that flat platform on top.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've actually enjoyed these really like jagged, weird maps. I actually want to have a class match or something similar on. I was gonna say maybe not, but on the pyramid map, the guild medal one that has like the crazy high sides and like the
Yeah.
really weird middle.
Mhm.
But it would have to be like missile resist 50% on everybody or something, so you don't just have a sniper just pew pewing at the top the whole game,
No CT manipulation.
something like that.
Yeah, there was a player that had a similar strategy, but he used Halloween Leela with Nivlu and Shell as well, and I lost him. And I afterwards I studied the game, and I realized there was just no way I could win because he had Halloween Riders TMR. But after the match, his name was Flip. He was a good player. It was a great game. I asked him afterwards. I was like, I'm very surprised that you're using Halloween Leela as your carry because he had very similar cards to me as well. I think he had Trousseau and then he had Tetrasulfide, so plus 35 wind, and he had like agility up or something, like the Ramza card. So I was like, I'm very surprised you're using Halloween Leela because like I've been facing a lot of ice teams. Like how does your Halloween Leela handle them? He's like, she doesn't. I just use Nivlu to he's basically doing the exact same thing I'm doing. Like he's
Cheap
like, I just use
peasants.
Nibley to like dispel buff them
Sita.
and whatever. so so it's like yeah, that like it was a strategy that worked, I guess. Reduce their quickeners, and they can't really do anything.
I
Take it
mean, it
over.
was a hell of a unit, and I mean that's kind of like what I said with the Oron mirror, where we both kind of made the same exact choice. Where it's like, well, let's see if we can kill each other's quickeners, and then whoever lives after that will deal with it with the Oron matchup. Yeah, I mean, sometimes that's what you can do. Like if it's between killing the quicken target with your quickens, because maybe they're bulky or something, like Oron was, or killing both of their quicken units, and then hopefully, maybe your guys in the back they don't die, and it's a 2v1. Like that's pretty good. Yeah, I mean that's a decision that I think a lot of people made. Like there were definitely matches where I had a choice between like hit a quickener in the carry or both quickeners. I'm like, screw it, get rid of the quickeners, and then I'll just back up and then do my own quicken stuff.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say like real fast, like I don't want to make this seem like an obligatory like weekly thing, but so Flip is in the Discord, and so it's always cool hearing matches about like people. It's always cool recognizing names. So like when I said obligatory, like shout out to the people in the Discord and anybody who hasn't joined yet and you want to work and like get into live PvP and working on your game and like are looking for a community to join. Like it's really awesome. Like the more it grows, the more we see like these widely varying like talents and matches as a result. So yeah, think about it and come join us.
I mean, would you say I'd have to go through and I guess we could do this definitively, but what percentage, which is a clean number because it's 100 of the top 100 are from the PvP Discord? I mean, it's a lot. When I
Gotta
scroll
be like
through, I
75%
recognize.
at least.
Oh, I was gonna say at least 50. You think it's as high as 75?
So yeah, but I haven't
Yeah,
really
I think
counted.
that's.
I just you
Might be
see
for
like
sure.
so many
Mhm.
So yeah, that's a. I don't know if that's necessarily people who would make the top 100 join the PvP server,
correlation.
or if because they joined the PvP server, they made top 100. I'm gonna go with the second one, even though it's probably not. I mean, honestly though, I will plug it again. I mean, there's so much knowledge that goes on, and there's so much testing. Locke, you always post your results. Vinny's always talking about agility and stuff, and kind of giving TED
Mhm.
talks on that. Some people come in with like we'll talk about buffs and like yeah right, and just like mechanic stuff you don't even think of. Like this is this interaction between these two abilities that aren't like normal run of the mill stuff you run into. Like the day where we Mako and I went back and forth testing um cast time versus magic like debuffs. So we found out that if someone's casting a spell, like say they're casting flare on you, and you while they're casting you magic down them, the magic for the flare doesn't decrease. It's like snapshotted for when they start casting, which was
That
a
is
super
interesting.
interesting thing. And same with buff though. Like if you like, I had definitely in matches before gone like start casting a spell, unit goes, buff my teammate, hope it hits more. But I guess it was never working when I did that. But there's some weird stuff with like barriers will affect or like other buffs will apply, but not if it was a whole like study. But like this is the type of stuff that happens in the server, and a lot of us do that, and it you may not be consciously like absorbing it like I'm gonna apply this in my next game, but it's gonna come up and you're like, oh shit, this is an option I have and I saw somebody talk
Yeah,
about this.
and like who knows where else that this might be happening? Like people are
Mhm.
just kind of like shooting the shit or something. But
Yeah.
mechanics wise, like who knows like where else like you're gonna see it.
Right. So when I heard people talk about the class match, obviously a lot of double quicken, a lot of Keenblade, which I don't think I ever faced Keenblade.
I
Maybe
faced two.
once. Like I saw the ability, but it wasn't with Eldira.
Mhm.
Or I saw Ildira, but they had a team that could have done it, but they didn't have it like equipped or something. Like Glaciella used like Revitalize or something, and it just wasn't a team. And I never saw an OG Stern. So those were big. I definitely saw Mono Light, Mono Water.
It was usually in the second time slot because, like Winnie, for example, you usually plays on the first one, and then he played on the second one day, and I think 3 out of 5 of the matches was Keenblade
Jesus.
Eldir. So,
I guess yeah, it could be a product of slot 3.
yeah.
That'd be interesting. What I was gonna say is I didn't see evade.
Okay.
I think much. So I know there was one time where it was mono wind evade, where it was Oldoa, 2B and Halloween Leela, and I don't know if I've ever been more excited to play a match in my life. But Oron has guaranteed hit, and he's ice, and he's coming, and he destroyed all of them. Um, I think I killed like he re-rose Oldua, killed her again, killed like 2B or whatever. Halloween Leela like like someone dodged something. It was it was a good match. Banishing Blade's a hell of an ability, but I didn't see 2B because of that. So I don't think I saw her outside of an evade team at all. And then I only saw her evade once. So did you guys see the NieR units much at all? I guess we'll focus on 2B for now.
I saw her once in an evade team, and that was actually one of the harder matches for me because of the the strategy I'm using. So he also had a quickener, I believe, and I can't use my usual strategy because if I kill the quickener and he dies, I don't have any way of hitting the evade teams because my Niblu is just not able to. She's not equipped for accuracy, right?
Right.
So I had to like figure out some other thing to do, and it was like a dance, and I eventually killed. I won, but it was one of the harder ones. I saw it. I think I saw it near like I saw 2B once, and I think I saw what's his name?
9S?
The other, huh?
9S?
No, the other like the other evade unit. What? Rob Stern.
Oh, I was
Rob,
like
yeah.
Rob Stern. Rob Horn, yeah.
No, Rob Horn. Yeah, so I saw him once in an evade team as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You said the other unit, so I was thinking the other like NieR unit, but you meant the other evade. Got you. Okay. Yeah, Daniel, what about you for 2B?
So obviously, I don't know. I probably saw a lot more of the meta.
In your personal matches.
Yeah. So
First,
in my personal matches, yes, I've seen her. I saw her a few times. Most of the time, I was able to shut her down either. Oh man, there's this one really fun match where I managed to like trap her on the 4 height crystal in the center. She couldn't hit Ziza and she couldn't kill Gilgamesh, and she got doomed down by chilling by sitting on the pillar. So that was really fun. I was like, that was a huge showcase of what Ziza was capable of, and I'm sure that obviously my opponent didn't really enjoy it, but at least they got the chance to see like just how powerful Ziza was.
was that on stream?
I don't remember.
I want to
think it
watch that.
was.
That sounds so good.
I think it was, but I can't be sure.
I guess
No,
I'll just
no,
watch
yeah,
all
it
of your
was.
VODs.
Yeah, I'll have to go. I'll have to go look because yeah, people. I was like telling people like this is like what she's capable of. So yeah, I'll have to go see if I can find it. I think it was like middle of the weekish.
The Swiss Army knife
Um,
unit. She does
yeah,
really well.
man, so fun. Can't talk enough about that. But yeah, aside from my personal matches, I didn't really see too much of 9S when I was fighting against them, which is kind of lucky because he's got his insane like accuracy, AOE buff and stuff. I was kind of half-hearted. Like I was fully damaged on Ziza, like maxed her out. I didn't want to mess around with like the units left with like a sliver of life with Ziza. She was always hitting people for like 7, 8K or whatever. So that was fun. But I still had like on like Sage's hat and like evade on my Esper or whatever. But outside of my personal matches, like obviously, like spectating for 3 hours a second window, I saw a ton. And actually, the first time I started seeing them was like second day. Like
Of
people are
course.
like
Yeah.
already running like 2B and 9S, and I was like, I should not be surprised about this, but holy crap, you guys!
Well, that's like the
So
day one Unos, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Day two or whatever it
Um,
was.
but generally, most of the ones I saw, like they won, even if it was just like 2B soloing everyone, and so it was insane to see. Um, I don't think I ever saw a match where 2B wasn't using her card. Um, I don't. I guess it's harder to tell what 9S was using, but he still did really well as well. He doesn't have like the soloing like potential power that 2B does.
I actually disagree, dude.
Yeah,
He
staying alive. I mean,
against certain teams, I guess. Yeah, because I saw a 2 or a 9S that had 79 defense, like either
wow,
unbuffed or like maybe he was his own buff, and he still had
even
like
from
30
Titus,
or
making
something
sure.
spirit, and he just walked up like it was one of my guildies was playing the match, and none of the abilities could do over 1,000 damage to him, and he still has
That's
the
crazy.
And if you think about, he's got like what 6,000 health, so you have to hit him at least 6 times. But since you're not doing 1,000, it's gonna be 7 at least. In that amount of time, he's probably gonna reflex at least once or do his perfect evade. So he's just this miserable thing to try to kill. And then he's got all these long range attacks. He's got a typeless attack. He has debuffs. He has a stun. If you get stunned with the hacking thing, then you get to lose a turn. Like, it's so backbreaking sometimes. He gets to protect himself. Like, he has all these tools. I read them all the first time we talked about him on the
Yeah,
podcast,
I'm
but
sure we
it
all
didn't
have.
really click in my head how it all comes together to create this monster of unit. Like, once I saw that video from my guildie, all of my NieR shards went into 120ing him instead of like just stockpiling for. I was planning on 2B like the next day, like taking her up. I'm like, nah, fuck this, 9S. So he's leveling to 120 right now, but which, by the way, leveling takes fucking forever above 100, which is cool because it's like something to do and work on. But my god, is it frustrating when you just want to have your unit there. Actually ran out of rainbow orbs or rainbow cubes after they gave us so many. But that aside, yeah, his defensive capability is crazy, and then he's still dealing respectable damage. Like, even if you like, I saw Leona's Castle on him. There's no amazing lightning card for him. There's some okay Pierce cards you can put on, but he's still, if he deals 3,000 damage each hit and you're doing under 1,000, it doesn't matter. He's
Yeah.
gonna like bleed you out basically. So I think he's very, very good.
That's crazy. That's really what tipped the scales for me and like finally deciding to pull for these units. I saw it wasn't just like how powerful they are now, but how future proof they are come 4 months from now or whatever. Like they're only gonna get better.
Tiefling
Um,
Cloud,
yeah,
go along
exactly.
with him.
But like just now, even like with his spear, like the lightning attack spear, like you don't have to invest that much attack in him. You can invest more in defense because that compensates for that. Um, so yeah, I haven't reached that point where it's like it's clicked like intuitively, and that's kind of the point you want to reach to
Mhm.
kind of include a unit in your A team in your A game, you know. But I'm waiting for that to happen. I have like they're on my auto squads right now, like building proficiency and affinity and resonance and stuff, but I haven't really messed around with them yet. Kind of like how Locke does with like level 79, level 89 units in live PvP. I haven't reached that stage yet, so kind of looking forward to it. That's kind of like on my near future kind of wish list.
Your near future. Near
Yeah.
future. Yes. Okay. So, yeah. I mean, I saw him a lot more in my guildies match. Like, I faced him once and I lost. That was the one I was talking about where I missed position. They didn't take advantage, but I still lost. That's actually, I had to spend all of my quicken turns killing 9S with Oron. Like, it took me 2 hits, and that was with like I tornadoed him, and then I did whatever my highest damage was, and that's what it took. Which is so ridiculous. That's after switching that guy on. But I watched a lot of like Brian's matches. I watched some like Aaron and Logi and other people in my guild, and I saw a lot of 9S in their matches. And it was just every single time the damage numbers on them were so low. It didn't matter what unit it was. It was really, really impressive.
I think the thing that I like about him the most is that long range AoE jamming thrust ability that like cancels cast.
Yeah.
Because that, like, imagine it's a double quickener against double quickener and he goes up and he just like, now we don't get the double quicken cast anymore. So
That's gross.
so that, like, it was somebody I was considering, but then I didn't really want to 120 him like in like 2 days. So I was like, okay, I'll just stick with Garl.
And debuff the agility on top of that after you interrupt them
Yeah.
by 20%. Good lord. But I guess kind of the star of the show for the server overall, like live PvP, 9S has me a lot more excited than 2B does.
Mhm.
But I know that from JP, everyone's super excited about 2B. But I'm honestly not super impressed yet. She's annoying, and there's definitely been times where I was like scrimming with a guildie, and I wasn't prepared for a unit to have that much evade. Like, I was 100% on one of his other units, like 87 on the other one, but then 0 on NieR or on Jesus, on 2B. So she is a ton of the evade. But I know, Locke, we were talking a little bit before the podcast. You have some thoughts on her.
Yeah, so it's actually not even. I mean, it is on her as well, but I think in general evade as well because I ended up getting her to 120. I ended up getting the card, and then I did some tests, and I found that I could still reliably hit her with other 120 units, not using guaranteed hits, like for example Titus. And I expected those like accuracy numbers to be a lot lower. And I posted a video talking about my thoughts, and had discussions with other people also. And eventually, I think I came to the conclusion that I think after the anniversary, evade just became less powerful just because of the way the stat distribution works. So from 99 to 120, almost all stats go up except for agility. Like there are some units here and there, like for example Gilgamesh, who gets a ton of agility, gets 7 agility for some reason, but overall most units don't get any additional agility. So in the equation for accuracy, your dexterity and your luck goes up. But in the equation for luck, sorry, in the equation for evade, only your luck is going up. So accuracy is going up faster than your evade. So I think that's why, like, because I've done like hit calculations against Venera, and it was always very low. And now with Tubi having even more evade, I was expecting like a level 120 unit against a level 120 unit to do even less, to be less accurate. But that wasn't the case. And I was trying to figure it out, and I think that is the reason why that is. Like I think because dexterity and luck is increasing for accuracy, but only luck is increasing for evade, is why generally you see a higher number of units being able to hit for a higher percentages when both are level 120. What do you guys think about that? Do you think that might be one reason why like accuracy is like if it is not as strong now?
I think math checks out. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's not just about like the math. I think it's really like looking forward into the future, the near future. Um, like like units that are kind of based around like dex and crit, like not just like gunners or ranged units or whatever, but
Mhm.
like Titus is like I think he's kind of a not in like a meta defining unit, but like he kind of he sets the tone, maybe is a better way of saying it, like as like a crit melee. We don't really think of Rob too often, but he's like the OG crit guy.
Mhm.
But like these higher dex units are starting to become more of an answer for evade, because of like you noticing this kind of thing, that the way that like agility isn't really as much of a and doesn't have as much of an impact, moving to 120 and helping out these evasion units.
Well,
But I also,
especially, I was gonna say one thing real quick. Especially, you just pointed out like Rob being the old crit monster. Like he's also someone who did have fairly high evade in the first place. Ziza in the beginning of the game had really high evade. She kind of went down on the standings after a while, but her EX brought her back up. Like these units already had higher luck as well. Like they were evade units. So now that they are also able to one shot units if they actually touch them, and they're getting the dex and luck to scale alongside. Like it's one thing if you were to take like Mashri, who has absolute garbage accuracy, and give her some dex. It's like she might, since she's going along with them, she might have a percent now, but it's not gonna be crazy. But if you're putting it on units who already had these luck values like Ziza or Rob, or I mean Titus, just because he wasn't from before, but he fits the same bill where he can be an evade unit, but also fairly accurate. I think that might also factor into it. And then just that existence is pushing them out, and then yeah, kind of cascading from there.
and then I was also like just thinking about like different elemental vision cards. Like almost every vision card has some kind of accuracy or dexterity value in it, which is making it really hard to run evade
True.
builds. Like water has the Christmas card, which has 35% dexterity. Dark has the Helena card, which has 25 accuracy, and then ice has Fenrir. Light just
Odin.
has like,
Odin.
oh yeah, sorry, Odin. Odin has 25 accuracy. And light just has like too many guaranteed hit units. I guess Yuna and then Rob. So, um, so I don't know. I mean, so I find it really hard. But once I got her to 120, I tried putting her into like mock guild battles against my guild mates, and I saw that almost like there was only one person that didn't have a guaranteed hit unit out of my entire roster. So then I tried playing around with different positions, like matching her up against somebody that didn't have a guaranteed hit, and like 50% of the time was usually when I got hit, and it was that's why I think she feels lackluster to me as an evade unit, because like first of all, there's only about a 50% chance to hit, and most of the time, like other units hit her for way more than she would hit back. So if it was that she was 50% evasive but does generally more damage, so it's like high risk high reward, I think then I'd be more happy with it. But that was generally not the case. So that's why I felt her kind of lackluster in the evade department. I found her different ways to use her, but as an evade unit, that's I didn't find her so good right now, like for the meta right now. Yeah.
I have to wonder, like, if another aspect to the difference between 2B and 9S isn't just like the novelty between the two. Like 2B is like, Oh, another evade unit, and then 9S is sitting over here, this bright shining star of just like how much stuff he can do. It's like the novelty of it. It's just so it's spicy, you know. Like he's got so much spice to him. Whereas 2B is like that is like that's kind of waiting to happen until maybe like Tifa gets here, more than it is waiting for 9S to happen with Cloud. Like I think he's up front, maybe more useful and more
Mhm.
interesting than 2B is right now
So that's the thing that I think
on a
people
team.
missed about Tubi, because I think she has a lot of other things going beyond besides evade that's actually really good. So that's how I ended up getting her to work. But for evade, I think she's not very good. But I started like I got a lot of suggestions from people in the video that I made, saying, oh, you should try running her this way, try running her that way, and I did, and eventually I was able to like put her up against ice units, and she would be doing fine. So I was very surprised by that. But basically, I ended up building her as a bruiser. I put like a slash card on it. I didn't put any evade. I think I just put like I put her own card because it just gives a lot of stats. Like it gives like defense piercing and then spirit and so on and so on. And I would only target team comps in arena that did not have any magic. So I'm only fight like I'm using 3 slashers and they're using 3 slashers. And even teams against like ice units, she would do okay because I put that skill that would regen some health. So first of all, she doesn't get one shot, and she also doesn't one shot them either. But she usually regens like 1,000 HP or maybe 1,500 HP. And so
Auto absorb.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
the auto absorb skill that lasts for 5 turns. Once you 120 her, I think it's like 30% of health. So now
Mhm.
she gets back 1,500 HP, and that's usually enough. And also considering her shield and her 20% slash resist, so I think that's the way that I found I could use her instead. And I think those are interesting as well because I don't think like we have shields that last for like barriers that you can hit 3 times, but I don't think there's a 3 turn shield that we have on anyone yet. Do we? We have
Purify. Well, purify is
Yep,
damage
it's a TMR,
reduction,
right?
but it still counts. Oh, you're talking. Oh, abilities like regular.
Yeah, like units that come with it.
Um, 3 turns.
Can't think of
That's
any.
that's the one that she has. So I thought that's
That,
different,
that is
and
interesting.
yeah, because like usually it's like, oh, you can get through it by using like quad shot or something if you don't have like a barrier breaking person. But this one lasts for 3 turns anyway,
Oh,
so you
that's
have to.
true.
So you can run her that way, and then yeah, the 20% slash. So because of the map that it is right now, we have 3 units that are kind of like it's almost like a 1v1 fight times 3, right? Because of where the 3 units start. But because of her skill, she can kind of teleport to the middle. So you have like a 2v1 fight in the middle, and then you can, if you win that, then you have a 2v1 fight on the side. So using that, I've been able to position my units as well and do that. So I think those are some interesting things that a lot of people I think might not have thought about, because it's, oh yeah, it's an evade unit. But then if you skip that and but that was me last week too, right? Because I think Daniel asked me, he's like, hey, are you kind of putting her into an evade bucket and not looking at other skills? And I'm like, no, I don't think she's good. But then, when I tried it, I'm like, okay, she is probably okay. I wouldn't say she's like, I wouldn't say I wouldn't recommend anybody to her, because I think, maybe like Titus probably does similar stuff that she does as a bruiser. So, like, I think, I would just recommend you use Titus instead. But I think it's possible to run her. I think she's viable as like a bruiser.
When you were talking about the 20% slash resist, were you talking about her buff?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yes,
I
she
have
has a
another.
20% slash
Yeah.
and strike resist buff, right? Yeah, that also teleports.
Yeah, yeah. I thought you were saying that she had 20% slash resist. I'm like, she only has 10. Like, where's this coming from?
No,
But okay, I
sorry,
was
it's
just
the
making
buff.
sure I was following along. Sorry.
Yeah.
I have another thought kind of about these units that I don't know if people are really thinking about too much right now, but like I think maybe it's just because of like coming from a Final Fantasy Brave Exvius like perspective. They both have like breaks, and they're not like anywhere near the Knight sub job. Like 2B has like the slash and strike attack down, and she has like the pugilist like attack down or whatever. And then like 9S has like an attack and magic break as well. Um, and I'm kind of curious to see like if if breaks are gonna become relevant at some point more than they are, or yeah, more than they are now, with like PVE content. And I don't know so much about PvP content because really a lot, maybe it's because of having a lack of like X job like bruisers and tanks and stuff. Mostly it's just like a one shot meta right now. But I'm curious to see like if like at some point, if ever, like we're gonna have breaks become more relevant. Um, and I have another thought, but I'll save that towards the end.
I say I definitely think things like defense breaks, spirit breaks, agility breaks can be very impactful. It's just when you get to the attack and magic values, like we're seeing numbers like 1400 now,
Yeah,
1500
exactly.
in those. And when you're only breaking based on base, which is like what 300 tops on a lot of units, maybe like I think Una might have like 400 magic or something absurd. But even then, you if you reduce it by 30%, it's we'll even go 40 because a lot more like 38%, 40%. So 4 times 4. So you're losing 160. So okay, you have 1340 magic now.
Right.
Ooh, like it's they're just not that good when it's those stats. But I
Yeah.
think that breaks for agility and things like that are amazing. However, uh I just realized that one thing she has, which I don't know if you said this like verbatim or not, but it's actually a slash attack and strike attack break,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. I thought it was an attack percent. I was looking at a different ability. Because you had mentioned the pugilist, I think is what I was thinking. And then which actually she doesn't have that.
Oh,
Anyway,
doesn't she?
no, I
Oh,
don't think
whoops.
she has Iron Body Stance, Spirit Breaker. Oh yeah, okay, Spirit Breaker.
Oh,
Yeah,
she
my
has
bad.
spirit
Okay,
breaking. Yeah.
yep. Sorry. Oh, I guess that one's a little more impactful because it can scale higher. But okay, yeah, I will say that I think the slash to strike attack one is much better.
Interesting, right?
Okay.
And yeah, so it's probably more relevant for like end game PvE content. Like maybe we'll see like huge bosses that like will actually require breaking for you to actually survive. We haven't
Like you
really
have to
seen
fight a
that really
Titan, right?
too
Like he
much
just
yet.
like one punches people, but
Yeah,
you're like strike attack down, strike attack down.
something.
Okay, and then I mean, why don't you just go into you said you had a thought. Just go right into it.
Yeah, so I feel like I'm mentioning this more and more. Maybe because of kind of the meta we're seeing, like the one shot meta that we're back at since like the first couple months of the game.
To stifle your
Um,
expectations,
I
manage
I
expectations.
am
Damn
really yeah, managed expectations. The mantra, the I am really wondering when we're gonna start seeing more and more elemental resistance. Like the more that we can, like that's really like the next step in terms of I don't want to say meta, but like the like one step for man, one large step for mankind kind of thing. Like um the next thing that you're going to have to get over is elemental resistance. We don't really
Right.
see elemental resistance pierce too much. I mean, that's obviously imperil, but not pierce really. Um, so that's really what I'm curious as far as like long term. Like, when are we going to start seeing more elemental resistances and stuff?
I think Pierce would only be able to come after we start getting ways to really stack elemental resist. Like you have to try really hard right now to get elemental resist super high. Like you'd have to
Mhm.
like pick a unit that's resistant to something already, put an Esper on that's the same element, then like maybe use a green mage or something. But beyond those, it's I can't think of too many sources of elemental resist.
Like generally,
Um
like when you're using like an elemental ring, like Tide Ring, or like the
oh, one
Luminous
of those,
Bracelet,
yep.
or like the upcoming Fire Ring or whatever for the next tower, those are when we really start seeing units get to like 50% or higher, like elemental. Like I heard, like Kosciuszko, another PvPer, he was talking about having like Glaciella get up to like 65% fire resistance, and it's like, I mean, what do you do against that with a fire unit? Like,
You rain LB.
I mean, yeah, you have to deal with it
Then
somehow,
you're
but like
then you're using rain against
you
a
have
probably sub monk
yeah,
Glaciella, and that's
yeah,
just a bad
exactly.
day.
Yeah, so like if you don't have the tools to deal with it, which are like vanishingly more small compared to other ways of dealing with other like damage mitigations, barrier breaks, and the like, that's yeah, I'm just kind of wondering when we're going to start to see that. I think right now Gumi's really focusing on vision cards and stuff that like increase the viability of like mono element teams, but in pursuing that, like it's only a matter of time, right, before we see mono element teams that get like more element resistances.
What's like Brian was saying on the podcast, like having a meta like that is okay. Like if that's the direction you want to go for a little while, like that's cool. And then it'll evolve into something later, hopefully. One thing I actually want to see is if it's like you have say an Earth unit with ally water units get 15% HP and whatever water attack up. So then it like incentivizes you to weave the elements together to get the bonuses on each other, and then you can kind of create that. Like, don't have the ones adjacent, so you wouldn't have either like a lightning or a wind with your earth, but like any of the other ones you could do. Or even like light and dark units maybe that support a specific element, since those are a little more meshy, I guess. Locke has a thought.
No, I was just yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's interesting because there's 8 different elements. So if you go like unless that one element becomes like so popular that everyone's playing it, if you build for elemental resistance, and especially like for example class match, uh, how often would you see it, right? I guess you could do it because, like, for example, if I'm playing fire, maybe I have water element up because that's my weakness, so I could go that way. But otherwise, I don't know how often I would build elemental resist versus something like magic resist or like slash resist, which is more common. So it's interesting.
Yeah, it's like
Yo.
it's like another like there's always like a power curve, power creep, like arms race, for different things, and like mostly what we've seen over the last year is like attack resistances or attack penetrations, right?
Mhm.
But we haven't really seen the whole elemental thing because like that's really it's kind of like unmarked territory at this point. It's fog of war. Like we haven't really seen too much of. Like
Mhm.
how are we going to deal with these elemental resistance teams um, that are like as long as you are looking for them in like guild battle or arena and possibly expecting them in live PvP.
I want a green mage now with their EX25 ability to be like a Barb Lazara, but all elements.
Yeah, right. I mean, I've been saying since like the
Okay,
start of
so
the
something like
podcast,
that.
like
Yeah.
green mages are definitely underrated.
Yeah, let's see that happen. Like Shell EX, let's go. Turn 1 she get all element plus 25 defense or plus 25 resist or something. Like obviously you're not gonna do 38 across the board, but
Or
if it's like
empowered
25,
imperil.
Empire, yeah,
It's okay. Nebula will
M
just
peril.
dispel that.
Yeah, right. The Doomblade argument. The counter exists therefore no. We were actually talking about this in the PvP Discord the other day where we are thinking of like units that counter in like a cycle. So like I said, like rain gets countered by like a monkley shell because it's water strike, and then like try to go around the chain. How many times could you do that and like find units? I kind of want to like do that now and put it out there and see like how far you can actually take that.
It's a
But
fun exercise.
it is, yeah, and it'd be like viable sub jobs. So you're not gonna say my ninja Halloween Leela is gonna be slash wind. It's like I'm sorry, that's just not how that's gonna happen.
Shurikening, like
Shuriken's
you
not
know.
even wins.
No, right. Like having to deal with ice units. Somebody said like, yeah, your Halloween little Leela can just use Shuriken against Mediana or something.
Sure.
Yeah, I read this before. I remember that.
Oh man.
Like no.
I said maybe what was it? Futon? Or what's the what's the what's the wind one?
Take a sleep. Man, I don't even know. I haven't even barely
Doton? No, that's
used
No,
mage, right?
Dotan is yo, I
No,
swear it's Futon.
I don't dark.
I'm
No, let
looking
me
it
go
up right
look.
now. No, I'm looking. I got it. Where is it? Or she might even have
Yo.
it. It is Futon. Oh no, it's not Futon. Damn it! I just got so hyped. It's not the one I even said. It was Uton. I had the U right. Is what I was thinking.
Okay.
I don't know why the hell I said Futon, but
Jesus.
anyway,
Jesus Christ.
yeah, Jesus Christ, right? That's what your team is called. Anyway, any last thoughts, guys?
Yeah, I think I'm good. We got probably another few weeks to expect before the next class match. Next class match, we're expecting it to be total unit cost 220. It's on a hugely varying like height map, which we haven't really even seen. I think it's like a new map for us. And there's no re-raise, no raise mechanics, and no courage, I believe. So have fun with that.
And no CT changes, right?
And
Yeah,
no CT
no
manipulation, I
quickens.
believe. Yeah. So
So like haste will work
the
like it
biggest
did, but
the biggest factor in that.
right, no quickens, no keen blade, and everyone gets to die and complain about rangers. So
If you want to work on your game, if you want to figure out some strategies that you want to use, join the Discord. You won't regret it.
any thoughts from you, Locke?
Yeah. So same thing. With the upcoming class match, I've just been taking it a match battle. I've been dying a lot to like cheese blade strategies, but that's okay. Like at least I kind of learn about like what things can survive. So for example, can a well-built mod survive a one shot from Grindstone or not? Well, now I get to find out, right? So if you want to
Let's
work on it,
find out.
if you want to work on it, like you can even like even if you lose a lot. Like I played 10 games today and I lost 8 of them, but I learned what my units can do and can't do by limiting myself to these are what I'm going to use, which are the same conditions as a class match. So that's another way you can practice as well. Of course, join the Discord because you can find players that actually want to practice with you as well on different maps with heights and stuff. But if for whatever reason you don't want to, this is one other way you can do it as well.
And you can ask most people to build something, and like, does anybody have like they can build this team to play against, and then there you go,
Mhm.
or this
Catch us on
unit at
stream.
least. What's that?
Or catch us on stream, you know.
Yeah, right.
Looking forward to streaming more frequently now that it's summertime.
Hell yeah. But I think that wraps us for this week. So thank you everybody for tuning in. We've been Let's Talk Tactics. I was Zach Rowe.
And been
I'm
the
Mark.
And we'll see you next time.